Dear ones, this morning during a channeling session, I received some disheartening revelations about the upcoming year 2026. It is urgent for me to share this message with those who can hear and wish to go through the transition. We are crossing the threshold of the struggle between darkness and light within ourselves, and half are still not ready. At this moment, only 10% of people on Earth are connected to their spirit, while in the rest, the programs of darkness and light are fighting. You think you are making decisions, but in reality, it is low vibrational dark entities in your mind that are doing it. But the scariest thing is that these programs feed on our negative emotions. They see how the structures of the old world are collapsing inside each person. But darkness does not want to let go so easily. Every time you suffer, worry, or can't achieve your goal, someone or something is taking your energy. The programs are interested in making sure we don't succeed. They block us precisely where it is important for us to get something. This is how the stability of the old matrix is maintained. Now you understand who you have inside you. But the most important thing is, where does this control over us come from? 10 to 15% comes from your current life, 50 to 60% from your family system, and 20 to 30% from past incarnations. In other words, most of your problems aren't even really yours. It's important to remove all these blocks from yourself and reconnect with your soul, your spirit, or your higher self. Because only then do you start living your own life, not someone else's program. I think many of you have noticed that in the last 4 or 5 years, something has radically changed on the planet. The events are unfolding at an incredible speed. For many people, a whole series of difficult, challenging situations has occurred. This is not a coincidence. There is an ancient Buddhist prophecy. You can find it on the internet. There are even photographs of ancient texts. And it says that approximately from 2026 to 2030, a great many difficult and challenging events will begin to happen for most people on our planet. People are literally being shaken up on every level. Why is this happening? Because the vibrations of the planet are changing. This is already a scientifically documented fact. The Earth's vibration frequency is increasing. And here a fundamental law of physics comes into play. In physics, there are two concepts, resonance and dissonance. Resonance is when frequencies match and then amplification occurs. Remember that viral example on the internet? When the wind enters into a special resonance with a bridge, it can destroy it because of resonance. Dissonance is when frequencies do not match, they are out of sync, and then destructive tension arises. What happens to those people who are in dissonance with the energies of the new planet? If a person starts to adapt, to raise their vibrations, and manages to do this in accordance with the new frequencies of our planet, their life becomes easier, they have more energy, more opportunities, more joy, and their potential unfolds more fully. But if a person remains in the old low vibrations, anger, hatred, resentment, victim mentality, self-pity, greed, envy, jealousy, this dissonance intensifies, and it is already intensifying. We can see this. Just look at the statistics from the last few years, from 2020 to 2025. The level of depression has increased many times over. People started experiencing mental health problems, the number of suicides sharply increased, and domestic violence rose. Many are now afraid to leave their homes because of the unstable and depressed people around them. And it's not about what's happening on the outside. The point is, all of this was already inside people. And when they were simply locked in their homes in 2020, all of this started to come out. And after that, it only got worse. People who continue to live with negative emotions inside, the ones I mentioned, will naturally suffer. They are in dissonance with reality, and that dissonance only grows stronger. But they are already suffering as it is. These sufferings will multiply many times over in the coming years. A person experiences 3 types of suffering. The first is mental suffering. This is when the mind is out of control, unmanageable, chaotic thoughts, obsessive ideas, when a person stops being the master of their own mind and instead their mind rules over them, when the chaos in their head dictates what to think, what to fear, and what to desire. The second is emotional suffering. This is when your emotional nature is out of control, uncontrollable desires, passions, urges. When a person becomes addicted to negative emotions and they start to control him and he can no longer cope with his emotions. The third is physical suffering. This is when the body imposes its conditions on the spirit. These are addictions, patterns, automatisms, and instincts in their distorted form. Physical pain can be relieved with painkillers. But what about emotional pain? Yes, there are tranquilizers, antidepressants, alcohol, and drugs. But how much does that really help? For how long? And what state is the person left in afterwards? You shouldn't lower your vibrations with chemicals, but raise them through practices. And what's amazing is that these practices have existed for many thousands of years. Unfortunately, the lives of most people are already completely predetermined. Why? Because they are not living their own lives, but rather a program, a psychological virus they picked up from the culture in which they grew up. Our emotions are a psychological virus. We were not born with fear, shame, guilt, or resentment. We learned this by watching our parents and those around us. A child unconsciously copies the behavioral patterns of their parents completely. And usually after the age of 30, something interesting starts to happen. Many people say, I will never be like my parents. But at 40 or 45, bam, and everything starts to repeat itself exactly. Why? Because all this ancestral karma gets activated between the ages of 40 and 50. And if you don't consciously get rid of it, it's easy to predict what kind of life a person will live next. Everything will be very similar to the life of their parents. But if a person takes responsibility to remove everything that hinders them in relationships, career, or health, a miracle happens. When emotions shift from negative to positive, or at least to neutral, that person's vibration automatically changes. This is a scientifically proven fact. And automatically, the person resonates with the new world we are living in now. It is necessary to dispel a dangerous myth that keeps people in a victim mindset. The myth that the universe is testing you, or that higher powers are sending you trials. If you look at all the original ancient texts, Vedic, Buddhist, Taoist, they all speak of only one thing, karma, the law of cause and effect. There is no mention of any exams, tests, or trials from the universe. Such things do not exist. The entire universe is a single cosmic consciousness. This is what people call God or spirit. And it is not some separate being, not an old man with a beard in the sky watching you through binoculars and keeping track of what you did right or wrong. Karma is simply action. What you do is what you get. It's a law of physics, a law of energy, a law of karma. The problem is that people are not aware of their actions. Imagine a person riding a bicycle with their eyes closed. 90% of the time, they're riding blindly because they are only aware of 10% of their actions. It's 100% certain they'll crash into something. People are not aware of how they themselves create situations in their lives. And then a childish stereotype kicks in, someone up there is punishing me or testing me. No, most of what happens in your life, whether positive or negative, is created by you. There's no one else to blame. That is karma. I'm not urging you to go live in caves, meditate for 10 hours a day, and give up ordinary life. No, I'm suggesting you live a normal life. But when negativity arises in you, a negative emotion, do not do what you used to do before. What did you used to do before? You would start yelling, for example, at your child or your spouse, or turn on a TV show, or go somewhere to distract yourself, anything at all, just not to feel. A new approach. When any negativity arises, stop. Adopt a simple rule. Until I get rid of this negativity, I don't make any decisions, I don't take any actions, I don't even leave the apartment. There are simple practices that take just 3, 5, or 10 minutes. You work through the negativity and move on. If a person has this rule and follows it, their life will change dramatically. Negativity comes up for everyone. For some, once a day, for others, once a month, and for some, every 10 minutes. There are people who have panic attacks every day. That is an unbearable life. There are those who will not resonate with the new vibrations of the planet, and they will suffer even more. The system, the matrix, the universe, call it what you will not accept them. And people who begin to vibrate at the new frequencies of purity will enter a state of bliss, joy, and abundance. Dear ones, if you feel that you are ready to leave this matrix of suffering, if you want to raise your vibrations and resonate with the new era of our Earth, I invite you to a 3-day channeling marathon. Registration is open right now, and it's free. The link is below the video. Remember, until 2026, the upheaval will only intensify. You have a choice to continue suffering in dissonance or to ascend in resonance with the new era. The time has come. Make your choice now. See you there at the marathon.